Welcome to the Navigator podcast.
Welcome to the Navigate Academy. This is Module 23 about risk management. Our guest today is Brad Kirby, VP of Operations at All Pro Integrated Systems. Brad is an innovative, he's passionate, he's a great thought leader with over 20 years of experience in the audio, video, lighting, and acoustics industry. He combines many years of experience providing that audiovisual system consultation and integration management. He's highly motivated to succeed. He possesses a leadership style that fosters employee growth while really creating a positive company culture. He strives to make work and both fun and enjoyable while delivering exceptional client experiences. In his spare time, he loves to travel with his wife, his daughter, and his dog Yoda, and play as much golf as possible. And given he's in Florida, that's probably someplace he can do it.
Yeah.
I've known Brad for many years. He's an forward-thinking visionary with the ability to really successfully balance what I'll call the risks of continual change and innovation through disciplined implementation. So his background has always been, let's follow the process, let's understand the structure. So Brad, thanks for participating in this podcast, supporting Module 23, which is really about risk management.
Thanks for having me, Brad. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. So as a leader who's had a number of important organizational roles in several companies, I've always been impressed with how you kind of view risks and your ability to manage and focus on those risks, as well as the opportunities. How did you learn that skill?
Well, it's still, I'm learning in process because I still learn more every day, to be honest. Kind of started when I was a little bit younger, about high school years. Like everybody, you would take a risk. You'd see whether it panned out for you in a positive way or a negative way. You'd realize that maybe it wasn't the smartest move to take that kind of risk. So it started there. As I got a little older, I got a little bit wiser. And I started still taking risks, but I actually thought through what would happen if this went well, what would happen if it went wrong. And big picture, one of the things I will 100% give credit to is USAV and NSCA. As you know, both of those are very good organizations. Jay Myers, the guy who used to own Interactive Solutions, kind of put me into a role with USAV a long time ago, and just the ability of being around your peers, being around people who've done it before, being around people who built successful businesses basically off of risk. A lot of them took risks while calculated. They still took it, and if they didn't, their business wouldn't be where it is.
Exactly.
So I used every opportunity that I had with anyone who had been in the business longer than me, like yourself included, to ask questions to find out really how did you do it? What happens if you fail? And, I've come to find out that, most of those industry veterans, that everybody's took risks, everybody's failed, everybody's succeeded. It's just whether the risk was calculated and, how they quantified whether it was beneficial or not to take the risk. So it's just a plethora of things that's really got me to where I am today with being able to look at risk. But I credit a lot of it just to trial and error and being able to talk to the industry vets who've been there and done it.
Great. And so again, you work with ISI being one of many companies. Where do you see the use of that knowledge? Again, we have to take calculated risk, but what's been the benefit? How have you either changed organizations or really used that in the organizations you've worked with and consulted with? So what I've done is I've took most all the things that I've learned, and I tell a story. I really do. I like to tell stories. So we have, here at All Pro, I have standing bi-weekly one-on-ones with the project managers. I also have a leadership team that I put together of basically all of my department heads. So we meet weekly, the leaders, and we talk about things like, the pandemic. We talk about things like where the business is heading. We talk about certain clients. We talk about, if a key employee leaves, how are we going to recover? What's going to be the problem? What can we do if he does? Project managers, we have just recently started here, especially going through every one of their projects. That's the reason we do it bi-weekly. We give them time to prepare, but I'll let them formulate their ideas of what the risks are. We started using, very similar to a WBS, we use the risk breakdown structure. So we've got an Excel spreadsheet where
they'll go in and list the risks. Then they'll, continue in the categories of the people associated with the risk and the impact, and then what we should do to fix it. So we use that. I kind of try not to be a know-it-all. I try not to say, hey, my idea is better than yours. So I see what they think about the risk, and then I kind of just give them some of the things that I've learned over the years to try to help. It's a very collaborative thing because I do find that the more you allow people to think that they're using their own idea, the better they take it. If they think, oh, well, I knew that, it's easier than you trying to tell them what to do. But I just kind of drop breadcrumbs and just kind of give them some tips and tricks of things that I've had in the past and how it's worked for me. And we kind of meet in the middle, and but we 100% talk about it. We have a very open, honest dialogue. We don't try to act like a risk doesn't exist. Everything has risk. Coming to work every day has risk. Driving a car has risk. Raising a kid, managing a project, getting equipment, it's all there. So it's you can't act like it doesn't exist. So we talk about it, we document it, we talk about it some more. We bring in other people who are outside the organization. Like I'm interviewing a project manager, and one of the things I've always done is I loop in other people. So I've got people who have nothing to do with project management. I have technicians, I'll have designers, I have other people who are lending a hand in talking to these guys, because a collaborative effort really, really works here. So, but it's just a lot of communication.
Great. What was every once in a while you have like the light bulb goes on, and you either say like, "Whew, I lived through that," or something like that. So, what was a risk event where you kind of went, "Okay, I need to think about this a little bit more"?
I'll be honest. A lot. There's been a lot of those events in my past. Currently, though, I will tell you the biggest thing, and you probably will get this a lot, is the pandemic. Because no one, when this really started, had any idea how it was going to go. At the very beginning, everybody was scared because nobody knew exactly what it was. People were getting sick. There was people dying. Everybody was like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Well, then everything shut down. There was no plane tickets. There was no in-person events. There was no Ubers, no taxi cabs. You couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
You fast forward, you got a ship that blocks the Suez Canal. Nobody thought of that.
Right.
That's a risk that nobody imagined. You can't get toilet paper. You can't get hand sanitizer. Once you get past all those things, you got a labor shortage. Now you have a chip shortage. So like in this day and age right now, managing risk is extremely hard because it's coming at you from every direction.
Right.
But one of the greatest things I will say through all of this, some of us were very lucky that we were in the industry we were, because while lots of organizations couldn't go to site, they couldn't be on site doing projects. Our clientele is a lot of sports stadiums, house of worship. Everybody went to a streaming solution. So we still stayed in business because we could provide streaming solutions. The sports teams and the house of worship clients that we have really took the downtime to upgrade their facilities, to upgrade their services. So that's one of our biggest two verticals is house of worship and sports. So, that was a really needed boost of revenue that we could continue doing all that stuff. And one of the other biggest things out of all of this pandemic stuff is people. Lots of organizations had to dismiss a lot of talent because they just didn't have the ability to keep them on staff. As you know, us having Sweetwater as a backer really helped us. People know who Sweetwater is. They know the culture there. And we doubled down. We hired people during the pandemic that normally everybody else was letting go. We went on a hiring spree and we scooped up some of this talent. We worked from home. We just did the best we could to manage the risk of not being on site. We managed the P&L. We managed our expenses. We got control of overtime. We took all of that, and I believe we're probably going to be a better organization because of it. Now, I'm ready for it to be over with. But
as aren't we all, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
But for the most part, that pandemic has really changed the way everybody thinks about risk.
Cool. So when you think of and again, you're using, a risk breakdown structure and really bringing that to the forefront of discussion. And my assumption is you're also discussing it with sales.
Mm-hmm.
What have you seen like the cost benefit of either doing it proactively or just this, firestorm at the end?
Well, let's see. So we've got a couple projects where I can give you kind of some real life, experience here. We had a project in Texas that during the middle of the pandemic, we had a particular type of mount that we needed to hang a PA above, the sanctuary floor. should we have pushed the client during this time to get a decision to us on specs and colors? We could have got the order placed and probably paid around $800 in shipping to get it just normal, slow train to us.
Right.
Well, the project manager didn't really assess the risk of letting the client keep going day by day by day without providing a good answer. And at the end, this project manager decided to get in a truck and drive from Dallas, Texas to Boston, Massachusetts in an RV, towing a trailer to pick up this extremely large 1,200 pounds worth of mounts and drive it all the way back. Spent about 70 hours on the road. In his mind, it was a great thing because he was saving on like the $6,000 or $7,000, $8,000 worth of expedited shipping that he would have had to pay to get it there. But what he didn't take into account was his billable time, the opportunity cost I lost without him being able to manage other projects and things for the 3 or 4 days he was on the road. So that probably was a 6-to-1 ratio. We probably lost 6 times as much as we would have had that we just paid the $800.
Yeah.
On another side, a very different one is physical risk. So, we live on the Gulf Coast, so we have hurricanes, and we have a client who is they're a venue that's out on the beach. So they bought let's say $150,000 video wall. And part of the video wall package was for $7,000, will come out, tear the video wall down in the event of a hurricane and put it back up. So 4 times in a row, we've been threatened with a hurricane. So this is risk management to a T. Do you want to pay $7,000 to have us come take this down and put it back up? Or do you want to pay $140,000 for a new video wall?
Right.
And so far it's been fairly easy because, we've got 72 hours of notice built in. You let us know 3 or 4 days ahead of time that there's a hurricane coming. Do you want to take it down? We've not had to take it down yet. And luckily we've been spared any major damage here, but the salesperson is the one that actually thought through that before he ever sold it and sold the package for us to come out and take it down. So, we have some that really think through risk even before it's contract, which is great.
Awesome. Well, and again, you're really, I think, raising the bar. So when you, again, through your experience and again, a lot of the mentors you've had, how do you speak to, again, the people junior or around you to say, risk is a factor in firefighting and adrenaline and all that stuff. It's cool, but man, it's dangerous. So, history of where we came from, Interactive Solutions, we had quite a few employees there that had been there for a long time that really, they thrived on that chaos driven type culture. They liked getting the pats on the back. They liked being the savior at the end of the day. They liked, being Superman. And the cost to do all that, while it looks like it's fairly easy on the front end, they're handling it. The cost would have been the cost, no matter what. But the hours they're putting in, the strain on the organization, emotions that get stirred up with the clients. I try to tell everybody that while it will be needed from time to time, it's not something that you should do all the time. You should really think about a project from the very beginning. What if construction slips? Is the customer's dates going to change? Highly doubt it. Their grand opening is going to be their grand opening. So if something's going to move, how do we still stay intact with that? Most of the people we talk to in our industry, I try to tell them that it might work for a while, but to be honest, at the end of the day, your clients are going to hate it. Your employees are going to get burnt out after a while of having to do this, constantly over and over and always saving the day, working these extremely long hours and missing, baseball games and things with my wife and kids. So while they do it and get paid for it, they'll eventually come to resent it. Yep.
And it just won't go any better. At sometimes, everybody's going to have to put on their Superman cape. They're going to have to wear it, but it's really getting hard to find a phone booth these days. So there's just not a lot of time to change into that cape anymore. Right. And finding the people who will change into it is really getting hard.
That too. So we always have a Navigate book club. Any great business book you're reading or book you want to share with us and what you're learning from it?
Yeah, so I'm actually reading Contended Cows Give Better Milk.
Okay.
I've read a portion of it before. I'm a big believer in taking care of the employee. One of my mottos that I've had forever is if you take care of your employees will take care of your business. And it's 100% true. I've watched over probably better part of 20 years. I've watched how people who feel like they are compensated well, part of an organization that cares about them, are way more productive than anybody else. The better the attitude someone has, the higher their output is.
Yep.
And this book really just goes to show that it's not about fads. It's not about buzzwords. It's not about just corny stuff. It's really about down deep about taking care of an individual. It could be time off when they're sick without them having to use PTO. It could be, a night off with their spouse on their anniversary. It could be a birthday card or anniversary card. I've got an Excel spreadsheet that I started at Interactive Solutions where every person who worked with me, I had their birthday, their anniversaries, the kids' birthdays, their dog's name, their cat's name. And, occasionally you just come out and throw somebody a $50 gift card and say, hey, today's your anniversary. Probably didn't think I knew that. Why don't you and your wife go out and have, Chili's on me or something?
Right.
Simple things really do. Here we've got birthday gift cards for, All Pro Apparel or for other things. We've just recently raised everybody's PTO. So the amount of PTO that you used to earn when you first started, I think you get either 16 or 24 more hours now. So we're like, we're trying to evolve as well as people start expecting more benefits. We're trying to do better with the benefits that we offer. And I'll throw a plug out to a company called WildSpark. WildSpark is a leadership management type. It's a pretty good organization with leadership training. And I've got all of my leaders going through a WildSpark training. It's kind of fun. It's not some ho-hum, 4-hour long thing you got to read. It's more like 30-minute increments, but it's kind of cartoony and story-based. It's really good. So they never had that at All Pro before. So,
I'll say at most companies, they don't have it. Again, there a lot of companies are not growing their next generation of leadership, which to me is a huge risk.
Yeah. Yeah. All my technicians and everybody here we're all invited to, a project management training that we have going on.
Yep.
I had a guy that came back and told me, he said, I didn't really attend the first one because I don't feel like this pertains to me in my install role. So, of course, I come back and I said, so you're going to be an installer the rest of your life? And he's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, and we're offering you great training from, some of the best people in the industry when it comes to project management training. And, you should take advantage of it because at some point this will start you off on your career,
exactly.
To other things. Getting people involved, we try to loop in everybody, make sure everybody understands that they have a voice and that they're cared for. And so far, so good. We're reaping the benefits of happy employees. So
awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Brad. I appreciate it. And again, not just the risk conversation, but really how the company's culture impacts how the company manages risks. And just you're not in denial, you're addressing it, you're willing to make those mistakes, but also have people grow through it. So appreciate today.
Oh,
Thanks
you're very welcome. Thank you so much for the time.